Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Apex Racing TV series, the best series on iRacing, hands down, no doubt. My name's Jack Canaan. Normally you'd hear the lovely tones of Jim Hodgson alongside me, but he is unfortunately away today, so it's just myself and Jonathan Grabowski, as always, operating the cameras, but he'll chime in now and again when he hears that I'm definitely getting something wrong at some point. But we are here at Summit Point Raceway over in West Virginia. So it's a circuit that I'm sure plenty of you on the iRacing platform have raced at some point in your career, whether it be in the MX-5s, in the maybe in the single-seaters as well. But it's a really great track for these cars, and we'll certainly enjoy having them go around this tight little circuit as well. But it will suit these cars very well with the long straight down towards turn one, hard braking zones, and even more fun, especially in these spec racer Fords. So, of course, it is round 11 long to go. And remember, of course, that we had the disaster for the championship leader in Spec 1, Austin Winner, who DNF'd from Long Beach. We were at Long Beach last week. Great finish, as always, as there always is in this fantastic. It was, of course, a great fight to the finish between the top three. And it was, I believe, David Gaspers that came out on top. He really managed to hold his line and take that victory, of course. And we now carry on in Summit Point, and only just 2 weeks remaining in this series as well. So we're coming to an end, unfortunately. What today is going to bring, I think, a smaller field this evening, which is, of course, not what we're used to, but of course it is a long weekend over in the US, and of course the Indy 500 has just just come from watching it and hopped over to race. But in practice at the moment, it's Hugh Haycox who's at the top of the standings, and Jean Pereira doing really nice, which is just eclipsed by Chris Murakami. So we have got some great racing ahead. Of course, the practice grid is not the grid for the race. Of course, that grid is already, so it's all down to it's all down to that earlier session. And we now wait to see. But Hugh Haycox looking the quickest. Shook currently looking not too bad up there in second place. And we will head to the race course, a 40-minute race, and with a mandatory pit stop as per usual in the series, which always proves to be a very interesting element to this series. That mandatory pit stop has thrown up so many curveballs throughout the series, especially with the pin. If you want to see that clip, it is on our social media, so if you want to check that out, it is up on Facebook and Twitter at Apex Racing TV on all those social platforms. So we only have 2 minutes left to run in this session, and we'll take this time actually to have a quick look at the championship. Have a quick look at Spec 1. First of all, of course, it's Austin Winner at the top on 762 points, with Hugh Haycox down in second on 132 points off the lead. But as far as Austin Winner in this session tonight, so still an opportunity for Hugh Haycox to get up there. Andreas Bertoni lies in third, but just 2 points off of Hugh Haycox, and Bobby West lines up in those standings. A quick look at Spec 2 then. Simon Meyer is the championship leader there on 453. John Pereira, though, closing in at him, 18 points. Gibson lies in third. Nico Shook and Paolo Breme, your top 5 in that. And then the Masters standings, which changed drastically. Leading that championship, he was second going into that race, but pulled it back with a 47-point lead over Kenneth Batley. And series organizer Stevie Ray peeved the championship lead, but now top 3 in the standings. Many thanks to Stevie for all his hard work in bringing this series together as well. He was sporting, of course, the wonderful proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford Racing Series. Take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. Hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts, and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. Go faster with the speed of voice. Plus, Weekend Warriors get 50% off annual sim pricing using the promo code of WW50. Check them out at racevoice.com.
Yeah,
so
fantastic race last weekend for Antonio Race, as you were mentioning. I think he was even ahead of the Spec 2 leaders, if I'm not mistaken.
And yeah, he did finish very, very well up in the top. That's why he's managed to get such a large gap in the standings of 47 points over Kenneth Batley. And we're just now about to grid up for the race. 40 minutes, mandatory pit stop involved in that one as well. And we're going to see who could take advantage of the missing Austin winner. As far as we can see, no sign of him in the session just yet, but we'll wait to get our grid before we say anything. As we grid up at Summit Point, a long run down towards. So here's your grid then. David Gaspers is on the pole with a Florence Arabian in second, Maurizio Naselli and David Bohm. Hugh Haycox lines up P5 with Steve Elson, Andreas Bertoni, Jeff Fritcher, Brian Short and Michael Dobeck. Then followed by Chris Murakami. Brilliant qualifying from Chris Murakami. I think that's the pole in the Masters standing. Simon Meyer, he's the championship leader in Spec 2. He lines up in 12th. Then it's Jerry McAreevy, Paul Jackson, Ian Haycox and John Pereira. There's the man in second in the Spec 2 standings, not too far off behind. Nico Schuck, Antonio Rice, championship leader in the Masters standings, lines up 18th. Kenneth Batley, Kirk Broadhurst, of course. There's plenty of Australians joining us this evening, and it's about 6 in the morning for them, so what a way to wake up. Ed Doherty, Miro Vrasky, Fabio Andalo, Ian Gibson in 24th. Yo Simpkins, Henry Kamara, Stevie Ray down 27th, Johan Buitenga, Adam Bradshaw, then Tom Gradwell, Bob Kern, Nicholas Falk, Dominic Eisenberg, Stephen Mitchell, Jeff Cantor and Evan Gardner. Thankfully, the guys are giving us a full formation lap to get everyone's name in.
Doing the grid run.
And then we have exactly, they're doing a service. Sergei Exentiev, Mark Ian, Darren Kuhn, Daniel Engel, and Samuel Dick for tonight, which is actually a small grid. Considering the normal size of the grid, we usually have about 55, but 41 even at that is a grid. But they're rolling round. It's not exactly a long lap around here, but we'll now have to go behind the Porsche safety car, and then they will peel. The Porsche car will peel into the pit lane, and David Gaspers. Now, as we saw on the grid, no sign of Austin Winner. That's the first time we've seen him miss a race this whole season. He has a gap of 132 at the top of the championship, so he still should be safe going into the last 2 rounds. But then again, it could still be a bigger, much further ahead. He was a further 180, 190 points ahead in the previous round, DNFing from that one. So this could really put Hugh Haycox has a big chance, as does Andreas Bertoni, who is in 8th place at the moment. So he's going to be looking to Gaspers. He is the pole sitter, Florence Arabian, alongside him in the 2 car. He's also 5th in the Spec 1 standings as well, so an opportunity for him. David Bohm, P7 in the Spec 1 standings as well, so he's doing a good job up there as well. And looking further down, of course, Simon Meyer looking nicely in P11. I believe he was just in the Spec 2, but Chris Murakami with a quite convincing pole position in the Master standings for drivers, I believe, over the age of 60. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We go green here at Summit Point. David Gaspers leads them around the last corner, and he has already built a small lead to come across the line to begin 40 minutes of racing at Summit Point. And it'll be Florence Arabian tucking in behind of the 44 car of Maurizio Naselli. He'll move to the inside line as they head towards turn number 1. Hugh Haycox trying to find some room in the 34 car. Into turn number 1, right-hander. And Florence Arabian slots into second. Naselli having to fight with Haycox just a little bit on the exit of turn 1. Still side by side up towards the fast left. And this is a very tricky corner on lap 1 on cold tyres. You're going to chuck it in to this left-hander. Try not to run out onto the gravel on the outside of this corner. And they'd filed through, and now onto the gravel on the outside of this corner. And they'd filed through nicely there. But David Gaspers with a clean getaway. Florence Arabian slotting nicely behind him. Haycox, Naselli, Bohm, Bertoni, Elson, Fritcher, Dolbeck and Meyer, who slotted in front to take the Spec 2 lead. So he's the championship leader in that class as well. So he's chasing away, but of course his rival is of course John Pereira, who's now behind him in this as well. So battles up and down the fields. Take a look. Absolutely. Nico Schuck, I did see him dropping down the order earlier on, which is not good for him because he is 4th in the Spec 2 standing, still in with a shot. 73 points off the lead, and that earlier issue is going to drop him way down the order. There's get a bit of gravel being kicked up by David Gaspers through the last corner. Across the start finish, they will come to begin lap number 2. And It'll now be the slipstream for Florence Arabian. So they go single move on the inside to take the lead from David Gaspers. And he should have that inside line and hook it up nicely. Hugh Haycock's going to find the space on the inside as well. So 2 places lost for Gaspers in the space of 1 corner. Haycock's will slot in front of him. Gaspers trying to hang the inside line up towards turn 2. He still has the inside. Haycock second place, of course, a little bit wide as well, out onto the grass a little bit as Gaspers comes back at him on the inside. Tricky placed in this very fast corner through this right-hander. Haycock's has the next corner. Does he get it stopped? No, but he misses everybody, thankfully, and he goes off onto the grass in the background because he could try and rejoin safely there, but that was a scary moment for Hugh Haycock's right-hander. Just got run out of room and he rejoins in 15th place, but that could have been a lot worse. It could have taken Florence Arabian with him and even more, but really, really fast corner. Let's have a quick look at that again. So it gets wide out of that corner, has to try and defend from Gaspers. Gaspers has the inside, coming down to the fast right. Do they make contact? They make a slight bit and just gets Haycock's out of space. Very, very slightly, but he's lucky there. Very, very lucky there. He got all 4 wheels locked up and he just found the gap between Florence Arabian and David Gaspers to slot himself between, and he rejoins without any damage. Florence Arabian leads, then David Gaspers second, Naselli third, David Bohm fourth, and then it's Elson, Fritcher, Dobek, Bertoni and Meyer. And Antonio Rice, but I believe is the leader of the Masters class. Murakami's dropped down a bit. Pereira, he's in second in the Spec 2 standings, got a little bit to get his elbows out earlier on. He's got that front right damage as a result of that. He's running now 11th, but P2 in the Spec 2 standings. Chris Murakami, he's P2 in the Masters standings, and at the moment you can of course figure out who's in what class with the Masters being over 900 or over 800, I believe, is the number for the Masters, and I think anything over 200 is the, and anyone else is of course in the Spec 1 category. So David Bohm, he's now in the slipstream of Maurizio Naselli in P4. He's also got Steve Elson on his tail. Towards turn 1 they go, fastest lap for Elson that time, which is taken away by Michael Dobek. In runs in P7 at the moment. Slight bit of defensive line from Naselli into turn 1. Look up the inside from Elson as well on Bohm as they come round the first corner. It has been relatively calm up the front in this early phase. Florence Arabian still holding the lead. Here is series organizer Stevie Ray down in 19th place, but he is in 4th in class. Down in 19th place, but he is in 4th in class at the moment. He's in a big Masters cars right there. He's got Kenneth Batley, of course, right in front of him, who's the man in 2nd in the championship, and that's of course his rival in the championship too, because of course Stevie Ray 3rd in the championship, Batley 2nd in the championship. Well, there's that'll be something to keep our eye on here. Simpkins, Yao Simpkins, who of course won Spec 2 at Long Beach, just way further down the order than he was last time, but he's still in a decent position within his class, about 4th or 5th in class at the moment. As we go back to the lead train, here's Jeff Fritcher, Michael Dobek on his tail, the 43 and the 42 car. Right next to each other, you can see just in front of them Steve Elson getting right up underneath David Bohm as well through the sea. As we see him move to the lead, Gaspers is going to try and get past Arabian on the inside line. Should be no contest whatsoever. And fastest lap from Gaspers that time by 4/10 of a second, which is taken away by third place in the 44 car. And you can see Elson has to try and go around the outside of Bohm in the background. He doesn't quite get it done, but David Gaspers goes back to the lead. Switch back underneath. Side, he gets the inside on the way out. And he may get a little push from Jeff Fritcher in the background, but doesn't quite do it as he slots back into the train. As Fritcher tries to push him through the little road onto the gravel. Very easy to do that. We're on the back of David Bohm's car now. That's definitely a little tap in the rear from Elson. Through the fast right they go. Braking zone for the hairpin. But they keep it nice and civil. Up underneath again from Elson. He looks on the inside, but there's no way through in that corner. He's got to try and get up underneath him in this next corner, but great defense from David Bohm that time. Stays behind in the 56 car. But the battle is now 3 cars. Gaspers, Arabian, Naselli. Bohm about a second off the rear. So there's your leaders. David Gaspers in the 17, Arabian in the 2, Naselli in the 44. And these guys just keeping it nice and steady in this early phase of the race. David Gaspers who is, of course, the winner from last week, trying to go back-to-back, but as Florence Arabian, you might see him appear on the right-hand side in just a second. There he is on the inside, into turn one. Can he get this stopped? It should be relatively easy. Gaspers leaves in the room and straight through, back up the inside, and another lead change is finished. But again, Gaspers gets back phase of the corner. He's alongside him up towards the hill in the 17. Not going to be able to make a move around the outside here unless it's in the last few laps, but he's going to have a go anyway around the outside. David Gaspers Arabian from David Gaspers around the outside of turn 3. You don't see that too often, and he was brave enough to do it. He trusted in Florence Arabian enough, give him the lead again. And that's certainly a contender for the overtake of the season from David Gaspers. That's take some trust in your fellow drivers to do that, and Arabian had enough respect for him. Let's have a look at this again. Let's have a look at this again as we see this is Gaspers on the left-hand side of your screen, Arabian on the inside, which should be the optimal line, but then it kind of shallows up on the entry, and sees him coming, leaves him the room, and Gaspers goes through around the outside and keeps the lead, and he had to defend from the Selly as well. Did Florence Arabian, but really good job from David Gaspers to really take that position. But down the front straight they come once again. It's Gaspers from Arabian, from the Selly, from Boom and Elson. Elson going to try the man to make a move on the 122 car in the background, looking up the inside this time. Boom late on the brakes, and he should hang on to it as well, but Elson gets Gaspers here with the speed on the outside line. He's also got the help of Jeff Fritsch, who's going to give him a little bump draft up towards turn 3, which is actually quite helpful. He backs off on the way in, and we might see now Elson has to tuck back up underneath him again. He gets super close to him on the way out, and as well we had Gaspers go slightly wide, so Arabian has to sit behind him, but on board with Elson as he comes through turn 4 and 5. On the brakes they go, but Boom goes a bit wide on the entry, but he's still frustrating Steve Elson at the moment and staying in front of him, keeping his position, getting right up underneath him, but there's no way through for it seems there's been issues for Antonio Rice, I think, further down. You can see him dropping down the order along with John Pereira, which is not ideal for them. As we see Arabian, he's going to go for the lead again, as we're going to have a quick look and see if we can see what happened to Antonio Rice and John Pereira. I know they were really tight together on track, and there it is. Them going around in the bottom hairpin, and they've unfortunately now dropped down the order quite significantly, and that was not good for the Masters Championship leader Antonio Rice, because that drops him down to 24th place. Arabian up the inside of Gaspers. Elson finally gets it done on David Boom, and Arabian goes back to the lead again now. The move that he tried again is Gaspers gives Gaspers the inside this time, and Arabian's going to try and go around the outside this time. Does Gaspers leave him the room? Yes, he does. Arabian says, have some of that. I'll go around the outside this time, and Arabian does it on David Gaspers and does the move that he got done to him a lap ago on the very same driver, and Arabian goes straight through the lead. He has to try and cover off Gaspers. Really tight racing up the head of the field, but Arabian, he copies exactly what was done to him a lap ago and goes back to the lead, but that's dragged. And the Selly back into it now, in that car up to 4th, and he's now on the back of Maurizio and the Selly. So that incident that we saw between John Pereira and Antonio Rice has now meant that is Chris Murakami. Stevie Ray now second as Naselli tries to get through. There is Murakami in the 901. He's the leader in the Masters category. Behind him is the second place man, Stevie Ray. And we just saw Maurizio Naselli. He's now got past David Gaspers. And we just saw the tail end of that overtake, and he moves into second. Lead defensive line from Naselli. Gaspers to the outside of turn number 1 in the 17 car, trying to outbrake Naselli on the outside very late on the brakes. And he does move once again from David Gaspers, getting it stopped and around the outside. Steve Elson now the next man to try and get through onto the podium slots. But of course, as a result of all that, of course, Murakami leads Masters, and it should be Jackson the leader, Spec 2, as a result of all that chaos that ensued. And Myers dropped down to 22nd. But yeah, there is Paul Jackson, I believe, your Spec 2 leader in the 249 car. Is second in class there as well. He's in the 377 car. And he is, of course, the winner from last week, still in with a good chance. He's second in class at the moment, but he's got to get after this man, Paul Jackson. And he's Spec 1 and Chris Murakami, who's in the Masters. So the 3 different classes on the track next to each other. Steve Elson boxes early. Very, very early stop from Steve Elson. And is that for damage out? But interesting scenes. Here he is in the pit lane. and seems to me, whether it's a faster pair or not, but it seems quite normal. Yeah, it seems to me like an early stop. He seems to be taking on fuel, and away he goes. So a really early stop from Steve Elson, and let's see if that pays off for him. He's going to try for a really early on, and has he got himself to clean air? I think he has. He has, just behind Cantor, which is not most ideal position, but interesting call. Different strategies, but compared to different rounds, that's an incredibly early stop. Only 12 minutes into this race, and we've already had a scheduled pit stop. Doesn't look like he's had to take a repair, because certainly he's trying something different, which is always what we like to see. But Florence Arabian is your leader. David Gasper second, Maurizio Naselli in third. There's your two. They're absolutely glued together at the moment at the head of the field in the 2 and the 17. Naselli dropping back a little bit, about a second back, watching in the wings to see if anything will happen up front. Arabian through. This should be an easy move for David Gaspers now down the straight. He'll get the run, he'll get the overspeed, and he'll pull to the inside as that'll be Hugh Haycock's pitting, I believe. So they're responding. Stevie Ray's in early as well. So this seems to be the strategy today. Pit early. And here comes Hugh Haycock. He's trying to cover off the stop from Steve Elson. Let's see what happens here. We've had Stevie Ray and Kamara has also come in to pit early.
Pit stops, which is really unique for the series. I mean, one thing I've noticed in broadcasting this series over the last few months is he's so good in draft situations where he's so good at drafting off another car, knowing the time to pull out this entire series.
Certainly has, yeah. He's we saw how good he went, how well he went in Bathurst as well. A track that's very reliant on the draft as well, but here especially Summit Point will be right down to him, right down to the ground. Half a second gap now over Arabian. He's actually building the gap at the same time. As we now look, Kenneth Batley, he's P2 in the Masters at the moment, both on track and in the standings, and he's in between two Spec 2 cars. He's got Bradshaw and Andalo. But up the road from him is Chris Rival at the moment. And yeah, there is Murakami, who we're looking at right now, 901. He's still trying to fight with the Spec 2. He's actually going to box Murakami, and that's to respond to Stevie Ray, who just pitted a lap earlier. So it's really unusual. We haven't seen stops this early all season, which is usual, very, very unusual. Antonio Rice has also decided to pit as well. He's the championship leader in the Masters, and he's decided to pit to respond to Stevie Ray as well. So there's also some, of course, rear end damage from that earlier contact, which gets repaired with a fast repair. Now we wait to see, where does Stevie Ray come out in relation to them? He was on the tail of Murakami. There is Stevie Ray, and there's Murakami coming out the pit lane again. So he has managed to come out in front of Antonio Rice, but he hasn't managed to jump Murakami. Decent job from him nonetheless to get himself back into second. He also carries the momentum down the front straight. So now he's got himself into a situation where he's got himself on the back of the lead battle. But of course, now that they've pitted, it's all up to Kenneth Batley what he wants to do. He's now the leader of the Masters at the moment, so it's all up to him when he wants to pit. There he is. He's also in a bit of a pickle at the moment. He's in a lot of traffic. Andalo behind him. He's also got Buitenga. These guys all in Spec 2 in their own fight, really. We've got Jackson, Simpkins, Bradshaw, Andalo, Buitenga for position. He's out of position at the moment. He needs to respond, really, to what the guys behind, but he's not going to do that. He's going to stay out and go long on this stint. So some real interesting strategies. The leaders out front have not pitted at all. Gaspers, Arabian, Naselli, Boom, Fritsch decided to pit. The only one who pitted out of the leaders was Elson, and he's down in 16th place with clean air up to Buitenga. We're of course back with the leaders now. Gaspers and Arabian absolutely nose to tail, and Florence Arabian has been unable to get through. You can see, look how close he gets on Arabian through here. They made overtakes around the outside of each other in various different parts, but now I think it's up to see who's going to box first. We're approaching the halfway distance of this race already. The strategy has been thrown into the air with some early stops from Steve Elson, but it seems like Gaspers, Arabian, Naselli are all pretty comfortable. It's a big day for them because they're of course missing Austin Winner, and normally Winner will be up battling with these guys, and we need to see what the championship standings will be like after this race. Of course, they'll all be done by the hard workers at SRF Weekend Warriors. They work hard with any instance or with any points. Here comes Arabian again in the slipstream. Should be relatively easy this time. inside line. He's not. He's going to actually going to give Gaspers a little bump down the straight rather than going past. So not going to go for the overtake because I think it loses them more time. And I think Arabia would actually rather be behind at this point to see what Gaspers is going to do, because it's quite easy to respond around here. Being still bump drafting Gaspers up towards turn 3. Stays behind for now. They've also got a lapped car coming up in front of them, which is may cause them a little bit of problems. Arabian's still tucked in behind David Gaspers, and this lap car, they are going to catch it right about now in this next sector. It's an awkward place to catch lap traffic, of course, because it's a really tight sector. Thankfully, that's the 420 car, which gets out of the way, thankfully for them. They carry on through without losing any time, really. Just an awkward place for them to catch traffic. Now, will we see anybody? Exactly. Yeah, he was smart enough to open the door, let them straight through. They're battling for position now. Does anybody pit? No. They all stay out. Gaspers, Arabian, a little bit of a twitch from Gaspers. That time he runs onto the gravel this time. That's going to cost him a lot of time. Arabian will seize that opportunity now. Thankfully, he managed to hang the car on the straight line, but Forrest Arabia will absolutely go for it now with the overspeed, and he will slot back into the lead position. They're going 2 by 2 in the background as well. Arabian to the lead. That battle in the background, of course, is Dobek, Boom, Bertoni, and all those guys who are fighting for position. That's Dobek who moves up in front in the 43 car. That's Fritcher, of course, Fritcher in 43, Dobek in 42, so Boom losing 2 positions now. Andreas Bertoni, he's going to try and get through as well, as the Boom looks up the inside again on Michael Dobek, but is unable to get himself through. Bertoni there in the 11 car is now the next man to try and get past David Boom. Through the right-hander they come, but it's Jeff Fritcher who moves to the head of this train now. We're trying for a while to get past David Boom. He's making that car very, very wide. The 43 and the 42 do make their way through. Bertoni now is the next one past, but seems to be a tricky task around this circuit. Andreas Bertoni, of course, is the man third in the Spec 1. If he wants to challenge for the title, maybe in these last few rounds, but of course he's only 2 points off the back of Hugh Haycock's. But 130 again. There's Gaspers drafting himself past Forrest Arabian, and that'll be a relatively easy overtake for Gaspers. The German up the inside, the Canadian gives him the room, straight back to the lane at this mid-phase of the race. It's all down to pit strategy now, and who decides to box first. No moves between these guys and Bertoni, and they continue to cycle around this Summit Point Raceway in West Virginia. So you can see, go back to, this is Adam Bradshaw. He's just been passed by Kenneth Batley, who's the Masters class leader at the moment. He's still out there, who's still circling around, so no move into the pit lane for him just yet. Adam Bradshaw is the man second in Spec 2 at the moment, so he's not fighting with Batley, but he certainly is battling with Andalo, who's the man behind him at the moment. So Bradshaw, he wants to make up some more ground, and this is an excursion off the track, well held, Simpkins on the outside. That's the best way to save these cars. Stamp on the brake and get it back pointing the right way. Simpkins, last week's winner. He still runs in 15th place at the moment. Now Jeff Fritcher has peeled into pit lane, and he's the first of the kind of lead guys to box. So he comes in the 43, jacking up the car, and it seems like he's changing tyres actually if he's jacking up the car, which is interesting. We don't normally see tyre changes in this series, but it seems like he's changing the front tyres. Yeah, so this is the Summit Point has thrown up some real curveballs, early pit stops, and front tyres going on Jeff Fritcher's car. So that's a new one for us. We don't normally see guys take tyres, but after those stops, crucially enough now, we were keeping an eye where Elson would be, and he has come out in front of Fritcher, so managed to slot himself back up into that battle, so he's firmly in there now in this train. So now it's up to Dobek, Boom and Bertoni where they want to go and when they want to box. They should respond pretty soon if they want to get out in front of Fritcher. Fritcher's on the back of Simpkins, actually, the car we just saw taking a half spin. He's come out behind him, but he's also come out behind Steve Elson, who was the guy who pitted in 12 minutes into this race. There he is, and Steve Elson is the car in front of the 377 car. There he is, Steve Elson. That's not where he wants to be. He wants to be further up, as a wide moment for Joff Simpkins. It's Gaspers again to just swapping. Interesting going on up front. They're just kind of swapping place, not costing each other any time, not battling in the middle sector. It's all going to come down to the pit strategy laps, which are always mental in the SRF Weekend Warriors. We're here every single week at the same time. As we see, again, a battle as David Bohm goes back to 4th place now in front of Michael Dobek. Through turn 4, Bertoni holding position where he is.
You know, getting back
not making
for a moment, he may have locked up his tires at some point, so that's
point to make, because you will, of course, if you do lock up the tires, it will cause some vibrations and some serious tire wear. If you do that, there's moves being made further up. That's Simon Meyer in the 308. He's gone up the inside of Kuhn as they head through, and Ian Haycock is going to follow him through on the inside too. Simon Meyer not having a good day today. Of course, he's the championship leader in Spec 2 at the office. John Pereira as well has not had a good one. So Paul Jackson is the man who's on the big gain at the moment. He's 6th in the championship, but he's also leading the class at the moment. David Bohm, by the way, he's come in. He's the first leader. Oh, spinner in the background. We've got a spin for a car in the background. That was the 893, I think. I couldn't quite. I think it was Gibson. We saw it going around. It is Ian Gibson, and he picked up that damage earlier on, but that was just a spin on the gravel. He drops down a position there. Going to just get a glimpse of what happened there. I get on the grass on the way in, and it's a lazy spin. Around he goes, and almost saved it, but the car just came back around the other way. And that is how simple it is. Getting on the grass on the entry to turn number 3. It falls down to 32nd place, but still with the car intact. We had David Bohm pit. Crucially enough, keep an eye on that timing tower. He's come out in front of Steve Elson, so that's what the guys will want to know. Do they have the gap to Elson? And the answer is yes. David Bohm coming out about 0.7 of a second clear of Steve Elson, who pitted 12 minutes into this race. There's Elson in the background. David Bohm is well clear of him, so they'd be happy to have seen that for all leaders. But Bohm was the second of them to respond, and he has also come out in front of Jeff Fritcher by about 1.5 seconds. Like Dobek and Bertoni, they'll keep their eyes on that, and they're going to try and come out and slot themselves between Bohm and Cole. We approach 26 minutes gone. Still no Selly for that matter. Waiting to see if Dobek and Bertoni, no sign of them just yet. As there is Samuel Dick, who has a good few places from where he started. Adam Bradshaw, he pits from 2nd place in Spec 2. Steve Elson goes by him. Oh, he's missed his pit box.
Oh,
Bradshaw
no.
missed his pit box. He's had to reverse. Oh no, there's nothing worse than doing that. I've done it many times. Adam Bradshaw, and he's now cost himself time, just locked up. And that's what happens when you have an early pit box. His pit box was really early there on the pit entry. He would have had to lock it full to the right and just reverse back, and he's cost himself a bit of time there, and he's come out now behind Aksentiev and just in front of Ian Haycox. I think that's where he slotted in, but many times, and still continue to do it, as there he is. Adam Bradshaw emerges in 24th, just behind Ian Haycox and in front of Kamara. But that should still Selly box from 1 and 3. Arabian carries on, and he's going to go for the overcut. David Gaspers in, Maurizio Naselli in from P3. One to watch. And where are they going to come out relative to David Bohm, relative to Steve Elson? So Gaspers pit box at the very end of the pit lane, of course, because he started P1. There's Elson around the last corner, heading towards, and Gaspers on his way out. Now Naselli's come out in front of Gaspers. Naselli's got in front of Gaspers in the pit stops. Great stop from Naselli. He's come out in front in the net race lead. Brilliant job from him. Took a bit less fuel perhaps, and it's this pit strategy from Maurizio Naselli, and Gaspers has now actually got himself behind another car. Not what he wanted. He's come out behind a lapped car. I think that's Guillen, Mark Guillen, he's come out behind the Spec 2 leader of Paul Jackson in the 249 car. But excellent job from Naselli. Now, we have seen this before, where we had Haycox jump in front of somebody after pit stops, but then run out of fuel at the line. And that, of course, I mentioned it before, that clip is on our social media. If you want to have a look at that, then do check us out on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, at Apex Racing TV. There's Foreign Sarabian. He's going to respond immediately now, and he'll want to have known that Naselli's come out in front of him now. This needs to be a clean stop from the guys. In he comes. And I'm sure he got that slowed down. It was very, very close. But Forward Arabian pits from the race lead. Makarivi comes in, which means Michael Dobek will lead this race. Andreas Bertoni in P2. And we'll see now, where does Florence Arabian come out in relation to Maurizio Naselli? He's just passing the Spec 2 leader Paul Jackson, who's going to come into pit lane. And now we're going to watch Naselli come around. Arabian's on the pit exit. He's on his way out. You can see him. You'll see him on the right-hand side in just a moment's time. There is Arabian, and he's yelled. Great job from Florence Arabian. But Naselli, of course, with the overspeed, will get a run on him down towards turn 1. But it is still track position for Florence Arabian, but Naselli, and he's come out in second place in front of David Gaspers. Now the battle is on with about 10 minutes to go. Gaspers got a run on Naselli. He's on the inside up towards turn 3, where we're watching from the car of Florence Arabian. Gaspers going to go for it on the inside towards turn 3. He'll leave the space for Naselli, but Naselli backs out of it, and Gaspers sends one up the inside into net P2. And he gains the position back that he lost in the pit stop. And now it's back to normal service resumed. Arabian, Gaspers, Naselli, boom, Fritscher was the battle before. Hugh Haycox as well. He's made it back to P9. Good recovery from him as Michael Dobek. Now he pits from the race lead. Bertoni will carry on. And in comes Dobek. He was in that battle between Bohm, Fritscher, Elson. Should come out near enough to those guys when they boxed. And here comes the net race leaders around the last corner. Andres Bertoni, he's now your new leader. Dobek on his way out of the pit lane now. These guys will easily get past him, but Dobek is going to slot pretty nicely into P5. Actually, it's a good job from Michael Dobek, as here comes David Gaspers now for the net. Arabian does not make that difficult for him whatsoever. Back to the lead for David Gaspers. And Florence Arabian slots back behind him with a great run on the exit, though again side by side up towards turn times today between these two. Florence Arabian on the outside into turn 3. Gaspers goes late this time. Arabian is still there on the outside, but again Gaspers shuts the door in turn 4. And Arabian will he look to the inside? Surely not on the inside there. And he backs out of it on the entry to turn 4 and turn 5. But really tight at the front. And we now keep on with these guys. Andres Bertoni pits from the race lead, and that will be the last car to pit in this race. So he stayed out. Less fuel, of course, so he won't have to take as much fuel to get to the end. There's only 8.5 minutes left in this race, but these guys will easily slot in front of him. But he's going to slot out, I think he's going to slot between Naselli and Dobek, I think is where he's going to slot. Gaspers, Arabian, Naselli. There's of course Bertoni now. He's exiting the pit lane. And where is he going to slot out? He might just come out behind Dobek. It's going to be pretty tight. There he is. And he's going to come out just behind Dobek. Here comes Florence Arabian now inside line for the race lead. A relatively easy move for him, surely. But no, Gasper's actually going to fight around the outside this time. Track position very key. And there's a car getting in the way who gets well out of the way for them. Really, really tough for them. The 263 car gets well out of the way. Side by side again up towards turn 3. Naselli trying to find some room. He decides to go to the outside this time. Gasper's goes late again on the brakes, but Florence Arabian again tries it at the front. Naselli's found some room on the inside, but backs out of it again on the entry to turn 4. Really tight at the top again. Every week it's like this as SRF Weekend Warriors, and it never ceases to amaze us. This wheel-to-wheel, nose-to-nose racing fun. And not long to go in this series as well, unfortunately. We're coming up to the end of the iRacing season as well. Next week, week 12, and then the all-important week 13, the fun week. And we're running a race in this season of SRF Weekend Warriors. Now, as we come towards the last corner, Gaspers will lead, but he'll give Arabian that inside line, I'm sure, down towards turn 1. He can use a lot of the roll on the outside of the last corner. Now, here comes Arabian again. Attempt number 6 on the inside line, gets the overspeed this time. He should have it before they get to the corner. And Naselli, he's decided to try and find that space on the inside. He's going to use the space created by Gaspers. Is still going to try and hang it around the outside of turn 1. He's not giving up this lead this time. Compared to what was happening earlier, this is a great fight between these two, but Gaspers should hang on to this again. Inside line, nothing Florence Arabian can do about this. We're going to try around the outside. He's still there, this time on the outside. The third time we've seen that overtake tonight, and it's Florence Arabian who pulls it off for a second time, and he'll have the inside for turn 4. Gaspers tries around the outside of turn 4. Inside line for the hairpin. Outside line for Arabian this time. and Gasp the outside, but Arabian back up the inside again in the 2 car. Still side by side for an entire lap now, these guys, and Arabian slots in front and takes the lead again. But my word, this is a great fight between these leaders, and it seems like key to this race. They do not want to give up this track position at any cost, as Arabian now leads, heading across the line to begin lap 26 of this race. Maurizio Naselli still watching in the wings to see what's going to happen with these top 2. Ray leading the Masters class now as well, ahead of Chris Murakami as we come down towards turn 1 again. It's Gaspers to the inside, he'll take that lead away, and they'll move again for another round. A cutback lineup underneath maybe for Arabian. He does get that line up towards turn 4 again, still side by side. Up towards turn 3, Naselli slots in his inside this time, and he's going to be wise to Arabian this time. He leaves in the room though. Arabian's still there on the outside line. Inside line for the next corner. Gaspers is marginally in front as they come round the turn 4 curve, and he does get that stopped and done. This is really intense. We go back to the Masters guys now. This is Stevie Ray, the leader of the Masters class now. He's made that. He's come out in front of Chris Murakami. That's the car behind the 64 of Miro Raski. Then, what a recovery, might I say, from John Pereira, who leads the Spec 2 category after his crash. There he is in the 312 car. What a job from him. And, of course, now he's P2 in the Spec 2 standings. And, of course, the leader of that one is Simon Meyer, and there's absolutely no sign of him, so a great day at the office for John Pereira. Back to our lead battle though, our overall Spec 1 overall. It's Florence Arabian again to the inside line, and Gaspers, will he try and fight it this time? He's tried to fight every single lap. He's late on the brakes, he's sure as hell going to find room on the outside line again, side by side towards turn 3. Naselli has no room to go anywhere. Gaspers inside line, Arabian outside line. This is round number 1 million between these guys. Gaspers inside, Arabian now around the outside again at turn 3, and he gets pushed off the road a little bit this time, but he has the inside for turn 4, and Gaspers will try to go around the outside again this time. Arabian's going to run him out wide again, but he leaves him plenty of room on the inside. Gaspers inside again for the hairpin, and Arabian will try and do the same thing again. Round the outside of turn, has the outside line for turn 7 and the optimal line through turn 7. Round turn 8 they come, inside again for turn 9 for Gaspers, still side by side. Arabian inside for turn 10, down towards turn 11. What a great lap of battling between these guys. Arabian has the inside for the last corner. On in the background, where does he go? Dobek getting dragged into this as well. They've been side by side for a whole lap here at SRF Weekend Warriors, and it's still neck and neck as they come across the line to begin lap 2. It's Gaspers, Arabian, and Naselli. They're going to give a bump draft maybe. He's going to try to go up the middle of these guys. He's trying to find some room on board with Naselli down towards turn 1. This is insanity here at SRF Weekend Warriors. In immense respect. Again, Arabian back up the inside. Gaspers has the outside for the next corner. Michael Dobek is now joining the party. They're going to go 2 by 2 down towards turn 3. He's come from nowhere, Johnson. He's got absolutely nowhere. These guys have been fighting with, and Gaspers finally gets in front. A lap and a half of battling, and he's now got his car firmly in front. Now it's 4 cars for the lead, and it could be 6 in a moment, with David Boom and Andreas Bertoni watching behind. They're only a second and a half away from these guys, and there should only be 2 laps to go across the line. A little wiggle from Gaspers on the way through. That'll give Arabian the space he needs to go through on the inside again, and he slots to the lead through turn 9 and turn 10. Gaspers has the outside this time. Where's Naselli going to go? He's trying to find some room, but there's nowhere to go for him. Inside line again. Oh, there's going to be contact again as they come down. Little tap of doors as they head into the corner. They go. Gaspers is very wide through there. This is Naselli's opportunity. Out inside line for him. There's going to be contact. Wow, so close as they come across the start-finish line, and Naselli has to back out of it. Arabian has the outside for turn 1 this time, and he should slot in front as they head towards turn 1. Gaspers has the inside again for turn number 1. They're not giving an inch anybody. It's coming through right here. And where the hell has David Bum come from? P3 on the inside. double overtake. Naselli's off the road. Naselli's off the road, down the order. You can see him in P8, but David Bum has come from nowhere into third, and it's still neck and neck, and Gaspers is off the road in the gravel trap in turn 3. He's going to rejoin in David Bum, but this is non-stop the whole way through this race, and it's Florence Arabian who slots back to the lead now. Michael Dobek gets through on Andreas Bertoni as they fight for position in the bye, and we've no idea who's going to win this race, this round 11 at Summit Point. What a race this has been. What a shame Jim is missing it, as we're going to have a look back down the order. Yeah, let's have a quick look at what happened in turn. We saw Naselli go off the road. Now, let's see if we can see what happened. There's Dobek on the outside. Now, Now, what on earth has happened there to Naselli? Has he had a hardware issue or something? That does seem like a hardware problem, or he's trying to adjust something and it's not gone right, and they come across the line. His checkered flag comes out across the line. Gaspers by 6 thousandths ticked over at the last moment. David Gaspers by 6 1,000ths of a second beats Florence Arabian and wins at Summit Point. What a drive, what an amazing race that was. David Bowen P3, Andreas Bertoni, Michael Dobek, Jeff Fritcher, Steve Elson and Stevie Ray. Round of applause. He takes a win in the Masters category. Chris Murakami in second, Antonio Rice in third in that class, and he'll take the win in Spec 2. There he is, across the start finish line. Nico Schuck 2. And Andalo in third place in Spec number 2. David Gasper by 6 1,000ths wins at Summit Point. Just caught the end of it coming through right there. We were pretty sure we were going to get another lap, but it ticked over in the last corner, and it was a simple run to the line between himself and Florence. I mean, what a great fight that was the whole way through that race, and immense respect shown from everybody, and room given when it was necessary, and great fight between David Gaspers and Florence Arabian. David Bohm, great podium from him as well in third. Andreas Bertoni gets fourth, and Michael Dobek getting a top 5. Jeff Fritcher, Steve Elson with the early stop recovers to P7, and then it'll be Hugh Haycox who finishes P8. Maurizio Naselli ends up down in 9th. There'll be Jerry Macarivi who gets the top 10 finish, and then of course Stevie Ray, Series organizer, got himself a win in the Masters category. Well done to him. Chris Murakami second in the Masters, and Antonio Rice, who of course is the man in the Masters. And then it'll be further down, Miro Vazky, Ian Haycox, Kenneth Batley, who takes fourth in the Masters. And we'll have a run through of your full running order now. 0.005 across the start finish line takes the win against Florence Arabian. David Boom takes P3, a 10th of it all season. Andreas Bertoni takes 4th, Michael Dobek P5, Jeff Fritcher in P6, Steve Elson, Hugh Haycox, Maurizio Naselli and Jerry Macarivi. Then the Masters category in P12, who takes the 2nd in Masters class, and Antonio Rice takes P3 in Masters. Mir Horvatsky, Ian Haycox, Kenneth Batley 4th in the Masters, and Paul Jackson wins Spec 2 ahead of Nico Schuck in that P18 spot, which would be P2. Henrik Kamara in P19, and Flavio Andalo takes 3rd in Spec 2. It's Samuel Dick, Adam Bradshaw, Brian Short, Simon Meyer, Bob Kern, Nicholas Falk, Tom Gradwell and Yost Simpkins, who has not had a good day compared to his day at Long Beach just a week ago. Then further down, Kirk Broadhurst, Jeff Cantor, Dominic Eisenberg, Ian Gibson, Darren Kuhn, Sergei Aksentiev, Mark Guillen, Stephen Mitchell and Evan Gardner. Just a few more at the bottom. Sean Pereira down in 39th, Daniel Engel and Ed Doherty. Well, what a finish that was at the end of Summit Point. Never disappoints, the SRF Weekend Warriors Series here on Apex Racing TV. And we've got just one driver standing by to have a word with us. It is our P2 man, Florence Arabian. We're going to drag him in and have a quick chat with him before we round things off this evening. Florence, welcome back to the commentary box. That was one of the closest finishes we've had on the platform or on Apex Racing TV. Just talk us through that race. A lot of chopping and changing at the front, but talk us through that finish. That was really close to the end, just 5 1,000ths.
Jack, basically, I was faster on the turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 versus Gasper, but he was faster through the S's, and I knew that if I was in front of him, I might, but he was able to catch up during the S's and just place himself correctly on the outside to get the better exit. the draft was going to help me, but not enough, and we were just side by side till the end.
Yeah, it was certainly very, very entertaining to watch from our side as well. Lots of slipstream as well. We noticed some guys taking some really early pit stops, which we don't normally see in this series. Was there? Did you figure that out that was going to be slower, or was that something you considered, taking an earlier stop in this race?
Not at all. We usually run, or myself, I run till the end, as much fuel spent as possible. It really depends if I'm going to catch the back markers or not. If I tend to catch them early, really, I don't want to be in the pack any more than I can.
Absolutely, yeah, and of course, coming into this race, 5th in the championship, you should, of course, to Bobby West. He's not here tonight with that 2nd place, but just 2 weeks left in this series now. Forens, how have you enjoyed? How would you, from our perspective, but how has it been from a driver's perspective?
From a driver's perspective, is Austin Winner is the winner. And I try to do my best to keep a challenge. He's doing something extra than us, and I'd like to figure it out but it might be too late. We're going to a new car next season.
And that, Forrest, thanks so much for hopping in with us. Just quickly before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to say a quick thank you to while we're on Apex Racing TV?
Yeah, thank you, Carolina. I love you. You're always helpful. You're at the track with me, and thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
We'll hopefully be talking to you in a week's time, and enjoy the little break.
Thank you.
Oh, that was Forrest Raymond hopping in with us, and we have now, of course, because we also got Stevie Ray hopping in with us for a quick word. Stevie, good to have you with us once again. Congratulations, Masters Class win tonight. Pretty hectic out there, and you got yourself a win.
Yeah, I started far enough back, just trying to keep it clean and gain some spots, and it just worked out. I wasn't sure. I had a feeling me and Chris were battling for the win there towards the end, and that's the way it turned out. Pretty
hectic out there, tight and twisty in places, and of course the lead battle coming down to about 5/1000 of a second in spec number 1. But Stevie, it's been a great series, unfortunately, in this fantastic series. What's been your thoughts on the whole series? The drivers seem to have really enjoyed it, but how has it been from your perspective?
Oh, it's been a good season. We've maintained a steady growth. We're running typically 50 drivers every week. This week we were a little low. I think Memorial Day and the Indy 500 and stuff kind of kept a few. But next week at Sebring is going to be the last Weekend Warriors race for this car, because we go to the Gen 3 next season. So hopefully we can get everybody to come out and max out the grid and just celebrate and put it to a good end of the season.
From the broadcaster's booth up here, but yeah, going into Sebring, of course, very long circuit compared to Summit Point. What's going to be the challenges there?
Clean, I think. It's like you said, it's a long circuit. It's pretty bumpy. Coming out of the last corner onto the straight is pretty well known. So just the challenge is to stay off the bumps enough to keep it clean.
Yeah, and something that you need to get done. But Stevie, before we let you go off stream, is there anyone you'd like to say a quick thank you to while we're still live?
Oh yeah, gotta thank Race Season's already got the word he's going to be back on board for next season, so we're all set there. So appreciate them hugely, and of course gotta thank my wife for putting up with this thing.
Always, that's all I think the toughest part about the whole thing, is just getting permission. But Stevie, thanks so much for hopping in with us. Congratulations on your victory, and enjoy the week break till the next one.
All right, thanks guys. Great broadcast. Appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you, Stevie. And that, unfortunately, we don't have anybody else lined up just yet. But what a fantastic race, as always, in the SRF Weekend Wars. And you heard it there. It's just one more race officially before we head to the new Gen 3 spec racer. Of course, it is getting updated before we go into the next one. It's meant to get some serious additions into it, so enjoy these cars while you can before we head to the new version. But of course, as you heard, Sebring next week, which is going to be a really interesting challenge for these guys. I personally did the Sebring 12-hour race there in an LMP2. And I think the Spec Racer Fords are going to be a very different beast to go around that circuit, of course. But as always, if you did enjoy this broadcast on Apex Racing TV, do make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're watching on Twitch, hello, if you want to give us a follow over there as well. We are broadcasting every single race over on our Twitch channel as well. That's twitch.tv /Apex Racing TV. If you want to catch up with anything, of course, we've got some other stuff happening in tandem with this one. If you want to have some Formula 3 action, the IGP Fun F3 VRS series is currently live at Road Atlanta. That is going on at the moment, and that is, of course, being broadcast with Marco and Sam over there. If you want to hear those guys having some fun.
Everyone
over
wants to hear Marco and Sam.
on. Absolutely, yeah. Over on the over at Road Atlanta with the F3 cars. Keep your eye on that. And then I believe we are back on Monday. Of course, we're back every day with the brand new series of the Apex Racing League Mazda Cup, the MX-5s at Watkins Glen. That's going to be fantastic. Do not miss that. That is tomorrow on the 31st. But from myself, Jack Canal, from Jonathan Grabowski, many thanks to him for running the cameras, of course. And hopefully we'll have Jim back with us next week at Sebring. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias at Apex Racing TV on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we will see you at the same time next week for the 12th and final round of the SRF Weekend Warriors race presented by RaceVoice. Thank you and good night.